The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Lin, the Director of District Implementation for First Robotics Canada, and thanks for joining us for our third webinar of the 2016-2017 FRC season. On today's topic, we will be talking about the district model. As you know, Ontario is moving from the regional model to the district model in terms of how we deploy and run our events. And we're going to have a little talk today about what you as teams can expect from this change. And there's some changes here in terms of the awards structure, in terms of what happens when you win them, how you qualify, and there's a new point system in which you now earn points to be able to qualify for the next levels. We'll talk about that in quite a bit of detail. And last but not least, we'll touch a little bit upon how you can help us transition to the district model, because we are looking for some assistance from teams, as this is a pretty large project, a pretty big endeavor. But if you've joined us for our past few webinars, you might have noticed that the format of our webinars this year is a little bit different than in prior years. But what you're about to listen to or experience is a series of conversations with panelists. And tonight we have two excellent guests joining us from some very experienced and award-winning teams in the FRC community. And the first panelist we have with us is Sarah Sils, and she is a mentor from FRC Team 774, and that is Team SWAT, the St. Mildred's Women Advancing Technology, out of course, St. Mildred's Lightbourne School in Oakville, Ontario. And by experienced award-winning team, that certainly doesn't come lightly, because I believe, Sarah, Team 771 is a 5-time Chairman's Award winner, and I believe a 6-time Engineering Inspiration Award winner, basically the two most prestigious awards that a team can win at a regional event. Sarah, would you be able to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been the mentor at St. Mildred's for about, I don't know, sounds like 8 years, I think. And we've been doing well with those awards. We have only one robot win under our belt, so that's the area we're trying to develop into, as well as maintaining these other goals. So hello, everyone. Hope you enjoy the evening tonight.
Well, awesome having you with us, Sarah. And also joining us is Phillip Carmichael, who is a mentor for FRC Team 1305. That is Ice Cubed out of North Bay, Ontario, and they are the Near North Student Science Initiative, NNSRI is the acronym. And Phillip, also a very experienced award-winning team. And I believe, Phillip, Team 1305 has won the Chairman's Award, I believe, a total of 7 times, and an Engineering Inspiration Award 9 times. Again, the two most prestigious judged awards available at our events. Phillip, would you mind telling us just a little bit about yourself as well?
Hey everyone, I'm Phillip Carmichael. I'm an alumni and mentor of First Team 1305. I've been working with the team since 2008 as a student, and then graduated in 2011 and have been mentoring for this will now be my 3rd season. So I work primarily with the awards section, so looking forward to this.
All right, well, thanks very much, Phil. Glad to have you on board as well. And so what I'd like to do first is I'm going to give just a little bit of a talk about the district model, what it is, what the changes are, and this would be a similar talk to what I've given at both the North Bay Gateway Conference and at the 2056 Ways to Inspire Conference. This will probably take up about half our time. But I certainly invite our guest panelists to chime in and add any insight or comments that you might have as I'm going through this. And then after I can work my way through these slides and deliver the information that I'd like to convey, then afterwards we'll have a little bit of a discussion with both Sarah and Phillip, specifically revolving around the awards aspect with the move to the district model, because there are some really neat things with that, especially if you're a team who has tried to qualify to the World Championships, and in our case now the district championships first, through the process of winning awards. There's some really good information and some really neat ways to try and optimize that process to give you the best chance possible. But before we get into that, let's talk about the district model. First of all, what is this whole district model thing that you've heard so much about? Well, first of all, it's a place. It's a specific set of geography. It's the province of Ontario. and it includes all the events and all the teams in the province of Ontario. And what we're doing with the events and the teams in our province is we're going to apply a different set of rules with respect to the first robotics competition, FRC. Now, these rules, what are they going to encompass and possibly change? Well, they'll change things like the costs, the registration process, how you make your payments, the number of plays you get at every single event, the size of the events, and even the duration of the events, going from 3 days technically down to 2 days plus a little bit more, but roughly 2 days. And it also changes how you qualify. Normally you would qualify for the World Championships by playing in a regional and either winning it or winning some qualifying awards. Now there is a second level of qualification called the District Championships. And so you're going to compete in what's called a district event, which is kind of the entry-level competition. And if you do well at the district events, you will then move to the District Championships, which is the Ontario Provincial District Championships. And if you do well at the Ontario Provincial District Championships, you'll then move on to the World Championships. And last but not least, practicing with and unbagging your robot. The time set aside for practicing with your robots has changed under the district model. It's actually gotten a little bit shorter because we don't have a dedicated day. But to sort of give you something back from taking away your practice time, we're going to give you something called unbag time with your robot, which a lot of teams really do feel that's actually a little bit better than practice. But I'll leave you to judge that after we talk about the details regarding the unbag time. And so, with these changes, why are we changing the way that we deploy FRC in Ontario? We're not just doing it for no good reason. So one of the issues that we've had with FRC in the past is how do we improve our ability to grow the program and to sustain the program? And when we sort of asked enough teams, well, what are our biggest challenges to grow and sustain the program? One of them is cost. We want to try and make the FRC program more cost effective for both teams and for us to be able to run the events. And so you'll see that the costs per event will be going down for teams, and even for us, the costs to be able to run an event also go down, in the long run at least, allowing us to sort of pass those savings on to the teams. The other concern that we had with growing FRC is how do we make it more sustainable? There's been a lot of chatter in the community regarding the move for World Championships being split to having 2 World Championships. And it's a little bit of a tough one because I sort of see that as a necessity because we're running out of spots at World Championships. Under the regional model, your 3 winners or maybe 4 winners if there's a backup robot called in, plus your Chairman's Award winner, plus your EI, Engineering Inspiration winner, plus your Rookie All-Star winner, you could be qualifying up to 7 teams every single regional to World Championships. And we've been growing regional events year after year after year. And every time we grow a new regional event, we have to open up 7 new spots at the World Championships. You can't really grow World Championships indefinitely. There's got to be a limit there somewhere. And so in order to make it more scalable, the district model was proposed. And by introducing district events and then now the district championship, that new level of qualification, and then moving on to the World Championships, we have made the program more scalable where we're not just adding on 7 World Championship spots every time we launch a new event. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but as we go through the details, you'll see that it does make a fair bit of sense, and it models a lot of how collegiate level sports do their qualification processes as you move from, local championships to state championships to national championships, for instance. And so let's talk about the team experience. After we deploy these new rules this year, what are you, the teams, going to notice a change in? Well, I mentioned before, we'll talk about these 6 items here in detail. Costs, event registration, grants and payments, practice and on-bag time, event production quality. So what you're going to see at the events might change a little bit, hopefully not. And then last but not least, the qualifications to our 2 championship events, both the districts championship and the World Championships. So let's talk about the costs first. Most of you know this because we've sent out a lot of emails, but the cost is now $7,500 for 2 district events. So if you divide that in half, that's only $3,750 per district event, and that's Canadian, everyone. That is Canadian. And so the cost for one event has gone down quite substantially because it used to be $5,000 US for just one event. Now, one little detail for you rookie teams listening in, your cost for 2 district events is actually $8,500 Canadian, but after our $2,000 instant grant, rookie grant from First Canada, it gets deducted automatically to $6,500. So you're paying $1,000 less right off the bat than a veteran team. So just a little way that we like to promote getting rookies into the program, because you guys, it's a challenge to start and launch an FRC team. The next number here is very interesting. You're given 2 district events for that price of $7,500. If you want to play in additional district events, if you want to play in a 3rd or in the unlikely case a 4th district event, the cost is actually $1,300 Canadian. Now this one's a little bit of an interesting number because some people might have seen the number $1,000 thrown around. My apologies if there was any ambiguity there, but the other districts in the United States who've done this transition, they do charge $1,000 for their additional district events. But it's $1,000 US. And so we have been instructed that we should show some consistency between our districts. And so we are charging our equivalent of $1,000 US, which with a favorable exchange rate for you guys, for us I should say, is $1,300 Canadian. So that's going to be a Canadian price. All the numbers here are Canadian dollars that I'm quoting. But just so you know that that's where that came from. So it's $1,300 Canadian for an additional district event. Now, the next number here, $6,550 for additional regionals. If you're a team that still wants to compete in regional events, it's still possible to do so, but you are not allowed to register for a regional event unless you still do your 2 mandatory district events here in the province of Ontario. And so what does this mean? Let's say you really, really enjoy competing in Montreal, which is an amazing regional event. As an Ontario team, you could theoretically still participate in the Montreal Regional, but you would have to compete in 2 Ontario district events as well. And so you can't really get out of doing the Ontario district events, your 2 minimum. But if you do those 2 minimum, then you can venture out and you can register for regionals anywhere you want around the world. And that price is basically the same. That $6,550 Canadian is based on $5,000 US, which we've just done a little exchange rate for you. That exchange rate can change, but that's what you would be paying for your regional events. Now, this brand new event that I've mentioned, something called the District Championship, which will be happening at the Hershey Center in Mississauga, Ontario. There is a cost for that, and that is going to be $3,500 Canadian. And so basically, if you do well at your 2 district events and you earn enough points or you win awards to be able to qualify you for the district championship, you'll be invited to take part, and the cost there is $3,500, which again, very, very inexpensive, actually even cheaper than the 2 district or than an individual district event. And then last but not least, if you do well at the district championship and you qualify for the world championships, the price remains the same as the old model where it's $5,000 US. And that translates out to $6,550 Canadian, roughly, given the exchange rate. So that chart, the list of numbers is all well and good, but it's nice to look at this in a chart. And so if you are a veteran and you'd like to compare, well, what are the costs of the regional model versus the district model? And let's just say you are what's called a championship track team, meaning you are a veteran team that wants to try and qualify for the World Championship. What's the cheapest, most effective way to do it? Well, here's a comparative chart where if you used to do just one regional event, it used to cost about $6,550. Under the district model, there is no equivalent of just doing one and only one event. And so that's why it says NA not applicable. However, the comparison gets really interesting when you start talking about 2 events. Now, there's a good number of our veteran teams who did do 2 regional events last year. And guess what? That would have cost you about $11,790 Canadian. Under the district model, if you're going to do 2 district events, 2 events, it's only going to cost you $7,500. So you're going to save, $4,290 right off the bat. Now, if you're one of those crazy veteran teams, I shouldn't call you guys crazy. You're amazing, but I've never really done 3 regionals. But for those of you who did do 3 regionals, that would have cost you $17,030. Under the district model, if you do 2 district events, and if you're good enough to qualify for the district championships, that cost is going to be about $11,000, saving you just over $6,000. And similarly, if you're one of those teams that did 4 events last year, so for example, 3 regionals plus championships, world championships, the cost difference is about $23,580 versus 2 districts, district champs and world champs, $17,550. You're again saving about $6,000. So right off the bat, you should be saving some pretty significant amounts of money on your team budgets, particularly if you attended 2 events or possibly even more in previous years. Now this is where things get really interesting. What if you are, let's say, a veteran team, and let's put you on what's called the budget track, where let's say your priority is not winning world championships or even qualifying for district championships. If you're just going to go ahead and play as many events as you possibly can, the price breakdowns are a little different. Now, the regional model column is going to be the same, so I won't get into that. But under the district model, 2 districts is $7,500, so this row is basically the same. If you play in 3 district events, you're only paying $1,300 for your additional event, making your cost $8,800. You could potentially save over $8,000 by playing in 3 events. And then now, if you're going to play in 4 events, theoretically, it's possible to play in 4 district events and pay another $1,300. And you would see that you could save up to $13,000 in that event. But I did note here that it's not likely. And the reason why it's not likely is that there are only enough district event plays for about 30 extra plays above 2 district events. So what that means is that there are 150 teams in Ontario, more or less. There are 330 play opportunities at our events. So if every team does 2 events, that's 300 spots. There's only 30 left over for teams to do a 3rd and a 4th event. The likelihood of those 30 spots getting snapped up quite quickly is pretty high. You may not get a chance to register for a 4th district event, but you never know what'll happen. And that registration period is coming up on Thursday, so I guess we'll see what happens relatively quickly. What is another big change with the district model is our number of events. So hopefully you've all seen this graphic, but last year we had only 5 FRC events in total. This year we have 10. So we have doubled the number of events, which means we have double the number of volunteers, double the amount of venues. They're laid out through our 7 weeks of competition. Our district events are happening weeks 1 through 6, and our district championship week 7. Payments do change with the district model as well. So no longer are you paying First headquarters in the United States directly. And be careful, because when you log in to your portal website at firstinspires.org, that's the website that all the lead mentors and the alternate mentors have been logging into in order to register your teams. It may complain and give you a warning to say, hey, please pay First headquarters in the US directly. You are not to do that. If you actually click on the links, it'll bounce you to a page that says, actually, in Ontario, you will be paying First Canada directly. And what will happen is First Robotics Canada will email your lead mentor an invoice on November the 15th with your statement and how much you owe us. And then you're going to pay us directly, First Robotics Canada, by November 30th. So do not pay online, do not pay First headquarters. You'll get an invoice from First Canada, and that will be paid in Canadian dollars, so no more do you have to worry about exchange rates and trying to predict one way or another whether it's going to rise or fall. First Robotics Canada will be taking on that risk by billing you guys in Canadian dollars. And we ultimately have to pay First headquarters in US dollars, but that's a risk that now we will be taking the responsibility for. So hopefully that's good news for most of you listening in on the call. Grants and sponsorships, a slightly minor one, but if you are receiving grants and sponsorships through either First headquarters or First Robotics Canada, well, first of all, First Robotics or First headquarters will inform us, First Canada, of any grants that you've received through them. And what First Canada will do is we'll apply the funds directly to your registration costs. So we'll deduct them immediately. And the nice thing is that even if there are extra funds on top of that, so if you have enough grants and sponsorships where it's more than your registration costs and you have basically a negative balance, we will cut you a check and disperse your extra funds after the registration period has completed. So that's after November 30th. You're going to need to give us some time just to sort any stragglers out, but we will be cutting you guys a check if you have received that many grants and sponsorships. So a nice little fringe benefit again of this whole process. The length of district events. District events are theoretically considered 2 days of competition as opposed to regional events, which were 3. Now this is where things get a little interesting. We've numbered off the days day 0, day 1, and day 2. And so day 1 and day 2 are your competition days, but day 0, this is kind of the equivalent to the load-in evening to a regional event. So you know how you used to be able to come in the night before just to load in your robot, unpack your pits, and then leave? We're going to have that at district events as well, but it's going to be expanded a little bit. So we're going to call that day 0, and these times are very approximate. They're going to change from event to event, but you load in at around 4 p.m. That's when we'll open up load-in. And it won't just be load-in, but we'll have practice matches in the evening. We'll also have inspection that entire evening as well, so we can get you through that process. And we'll have that open from around 4 p.m. to up to 10 p.m. depending on the venue. So it's expanded, and we allow you to do just a little bit more in that evening. Day 1, first official day of competition, approximately 8 to 8. Again, that's going to change from the venues, but that's very, very similar to a regional event where we're going to have inspection in the morning just to wrap up anyone who couldn't make it in for load-in. Qualification matches all day. And then day 2, this is like our last day of the regional events where we'll finish up our qualification matches in the morning, alliance selections and elimination matches, and then we will have our one and only award ceremony at the end of our second day. You'll notice that there's no award ceremony on the first day. There's only one award ceremony on the second day, and we'll probably be squeezing in some awards during the finals matches and the playoff matches on that second day, during those mandatory timeouts to try and keep the process moving. But again, I have to reiterate, please don't depend on these exact times. From event to event, these are going to be changing based on specific venue needs and requirements, but this is meant to give you just a general template for kind of what to expect at our district events. Practice day. So you'll notice there is no entire day dedicated to practice. It's only a few hours on day 0, but since we're taking away practice time, we're going to give something back to you called unbag time. And so 1 week leading up to your district event, you can take your robot out of the bag for up to 6 hours. Every time you take it out, it's got to be unbagged for a minimum of 2 hours for each session, and you can take it out of the bag wherever you want. You can take it out of your bag in your workshop to build your robot and improve on it. You can ship your bag, transport it to a practice facility, and unbag it there and practice for your 6-hour time if you wish. It's really up to you. And I'm just going to put in a caveat that rules do change from year to year. I don't expect this one to change, but whenever I mention rules like this, I just have to put that little disclaimer in. When you arrive at your district events, are they going to look any different? Well, first of all, you might know about some other districts where they have smaller venues, mostly in high school gyms. They've scaled down the audio visual and the production quality. Here in Ontario, our philosophy has been to maintain as close to the regional experience as possible. And so my hope is if I do my job right and the rest of the team here at First Robotics Canada does our jobs right, when you walk into one of our district events, it should look very similar to a regional event. AV, production quality, even the exact same venues. You'll notice all 5 venues from last year are coming back this year, and we've included even more. And you'll notice the overwhelming majority of them are venues which are the same scale, if not even bigger than our existing regional venues, with the one exception being Victoria Park, which is the one that we have in a high school gym. But even for that one, you'll see that the AV production quality is still going to be as close to the regional experience as we can give to you in that space. The point system. All right. Wow, I'm actually running really short on time here. My apologies. But for the point system, this is how you qualify for the district championships and ultimately for the world championships, is your team needs to earn points when you're competing in Ontario at your events. So how do you earn points? First of all, you can earn points with your robot doing well, either at your district events or your district competition. What do you mean by doing well? You rank high in qualifications, and there's a formula for that, which awards you points. If you're an alliance captain, or if you are an early draft pick, you will earn points that way as well. I'll show you a chart. If you advance deep into the elimination rounds, so if you're a quarterfinalist, semifinalist, finalist, or even the winner, the deeper you get, the more points you get. I'll show you a chart for that as well. You can earn points by winning these judged awards, Chairman's Award, Engineering Inspiration, Rookie All-Star, and more of the team judged awards as well. They're all worth a certain number of points. I'll show you a chart on how much each of those are worth. And if you are a rookie or a second-year team, we'll give you bonus points just for being a nice young team, just trying to get your feet off the ground to give you a little bit of a helping hand. So this is the ranking formula. Not joking, it is actually this complicated, but I won't get into much detail. I'll give you a little example. If you are ranked first at a district event, you're going to get around 22 points right off the bat. If you're ranked last at a district event, you're going to get about 4 of these qualification points. And in between these two, you're going to get somewhere in between those number of points. I'm not going to get into the shape of the curve. If I had more time, I might. But here is the draft order now. This one's really interesting. If you are the alliance captain of the #1 alliance, boom, 16 points. Very interesting. Your first pick, arguably the next best robot at your competition, they will also get 16 points. And then the points scale down by 1 for each subsequent alliance, so 15 down to 9. And then this is really interesting. The serpentine draft. When you're going around the bend and getting your second picks, the points go down 8 all the way down to 1. And so this is the one that I'm going to focus on here. The second pick of the first alliance. This pick does not receive that many points. It's 15 points less than the alliance captain and the first pick. You want to note this difference because that is a significant points deficit. Being the second pick of that first alliance, and let's say you even win the event, sometimes that points deficit that's built into the system is not enough to get you to qualify for the district championships. In the regional model, if you just were on that winning alliance, you were guaranteed to move on to the world championships. Now if you're that second pick, that's definitely not a guarantee. You would maybe much rather be one of these other earlier picks and be on an alliance, which ends up, making it further in the eliminations and earning more points that way. But this is no longer a coveted spot. If you're a team, you don't necessarily want to try and get to be the 24th pick at a competition and even win. You might be better off trying to be a higher ranked team and earning more of these draft order points. Elimination rounds. If you make it to the quarters, 0 points. If you win, you get 30 points and 10-point increments for every step in between. So the further you make it in to the elimination rounds, the more points you're going to get for your entire, for your team and the rest of your alliance members as well. For the awards, Chairman's Award, 10-point difference. And it may not seem like a whole lot here, but it does make a huge difference. That's the difference between being a finalist and the winner. It's the difference between being the alliance captain versus the second round pick of the 6th alliance. It's a big deficit, and I'll show you that in a few more details when we look at some rankings maybe later on in the call. But here's a very important one. All other team judged awards are worth 5 points each. So guess what? Safety Award, Website Award, or Spirit Award, those guys are all now worth 5 points. They will help you qualify for the next round. Rookie and second year teams, 10 points and 5 points subsequently. And now, outside of points, there are still ways to automatically qualify for the district championships and even the world championships just from winning awards, not even dealing with points. These are automatic qualifiers. So if you win a district chairman's award at a district event, boom, you automatically qualify for the district championship. However, engineering inspiration and rookie all-star, if you win an engineering inspiration at a district event, you qualify to be judged for engineering inspiration at the district championships, but your robot does not qualify to compete. All right, so that's an interesting one. You can go to the district championships to try and win engineering inspiration award, but your robot does not compete. Now, is it still possible for you to go to the district championships? If you win engineering inspiration and you also earn enough points to qualify for the district championships, then yes, your robot will get a chance to go. But just from winning engineering inspiration or rookie all-star, it doesn't automatically get your robot out to the district championships. So a nice little point that you guys need to be aware of. How else do you qualify? Well, what we do is we add up your total points from your first 2 district events, And be careful because you do not earn points after your first 2 district events. And that is first 2 that you play, not the first 2 that you register for, the first 2 that you play in your schedule. So if you play it in week 1 and week 2, and then week 3, it's week 1 and week 2 that your points will count for. Week 3, you don't earn points at. And then what happens when we add up your first 2 district events, we rank all the Ontario teams, and we'll take the top 60 team point getters and Chairman's Award winners, and we will qualify you for the district championships. Yes, Sarah.
Just one comment. I think it's the first 2 district events you sign up for. So if you sign up for like a week 4 and a week 6, but then your 3rd regional is a week 1, I think you actually take your points from 4 and 6.
Okay, so this is one that there has been a fair amount of questions on, and I'm just going to try and pull this up here on the rules. And I know we're taking a little time, but this is one worth this is definitely one worth. And do I have the right page here?
Sorry about that. You can always put that out later.
Yeah, I think we'll need to clarify that one, but unfortunately, Sarah, I am pretty sure it's actually chronological order, the order in which they are played, unfortunately, but we'll sort that one out definitively during our Q&A at the end there. My apologies for that one, but this is taking a little longer than I thought, but qualifying for the World Championships, right off the bat, at the District Championships, if you are judged as one of the top 3 Chairman's Award winners in Ontario, so all the Chairman's Award winners get judged again at the District Championships, and our top 3 will be selected to represent Ontario at the World Championships with your robot, of course. And then here, our top Engineering Inspiration Award winner. So they'll be rejudged again at the District Championships. We'll take our top 1, and they will qualify for the World Championships, and they will compete with their robot. And so you're right back in it. If you didn't have your robot at the District Championships and you win EI there and you qualify for the World Championships, you will compete with your robot at the World Championships. And same thing with Rookie All-Star. We'll take the top Rookie All-Star winner at the District Championships, qualify you for the World Championships. And this number 3 is not official yet. First Headquarters will actually make that announcement for us and give us a range of numbers, and we'll take the maximum number for the chairman's number. The other 2 numbers, though, will be fixed at 1. Now, we'll also take our top point earners after the district championships, and this is important. We'll still take the points from your first 2 district events, add them together, and then we will take the points that you earned at the district championships. So the district championships is a point earning competition. Not only that, we will multiply it by 3, so it is heavily weighted, and then we'll rank all the points. So we'll take our top 3 chairmans, our EI winner, our Rookie All-Star winner, and then, I guess if I do my math right, we'll take our 22 next top point earning teams in Ontario for a total of 27 teams representing Ontario at the World Championships out of our district. Lastly, but not least, how can you guys help with this district model transition? As I mentioned before, we've doubled the number of events, and that means we've doubled the number of volunteers. We've required double the number of key volunteers, and those are our FTA, Field Technical Advisor. That's the person on the side of the field who fixes any problems that we have with the field or connection problems with the robots. Our LRIs, which are lead robot inspectors, our head referees, our field supervisors who oversee the setup and the teardown of the field and any mechanical problems with the field throughout the competition, and our control system advisors, CSAs, who we distribute out to the teams in the pits whenever they're having control systems problems or programming problems. These are the key positions that they are the reason why Ontario events are as good as they are. We need more of them. And what we're really asking teams, how you can help is to reach out to your parents, reach out to your alumni, to people in the community. If you're willing to volunteer at our events, the unfortunate part is we need experienced volunteers to take on these key volunteer positions, but we have other volunteer positions, just like a regular referee, inspector, setup, teardown, and even control systems advisors. If you are an alumni who's never volunteered before, but maybe you did programming and controls as part of your team, you can come out and be a control systems advisor for us. And after you do a few events, we can look at you very carefully and see if you are able to move into one of our key volunteer positions, because we are short volunteers probably across the board for all of our positions. And so whatever help that you guys can get us, ladies and gentlemen, please contact your alumni and your parents, and if they're willing to help us out at some events. If you go to the First Robotics Canada website, we do have a section there for volunteers, and I'll have the link available on our YouTube archive for you as well to be able to click on. But that's all I had for my district talk, and my apologies for running about 5 minutes over. But that's the official end of the webinar. But now I'd like to actually invite our panelists into the conversation, where we're going to switch over to a more informal part of the webinar, where we'd like to take any questions from our audience. And so, Paul, if I could have you on tap, I'll open up with a question for our guys first. But Paul, please feel free to sneak in the questions that you're seeing from the audience. But Sarah and Philip, one question that I get all the time is, well, with the move to the district model, if you're a team that used to really use the awards process and winning awards as your key to qualifying to the World Championships and the subsequent championship levels, is the district model better or worse than the regional model for this? And I'd love to pick both of your brains on that question. And I'll go to Sarah first. What are your thoughts? This whole district model business, do you feel, considering you're from an award-winning team, you feel it's been a change for the better, for the worse, or is it about the same, all things considered?
Well, we're a little bit nervous, I guess, because there will be less chairman's teams going from Canada and less EI teams going from Canada. So, you know, that concerns us, but we're willing to watch. The system looks like it's well laid out. We're taking, you know, as many teams as we can. But we also look at the size of the district events, and they are smaller. So I think there will be more eligibility for teams to move on with robots too. So again, though, we only send, you know, 27 teams down to Worlds, so it's going to be good competition all around. So I think the challenges to all teams in Canada, which has been, we're a really competitive region, I guess, for first. I think we'll all try and bring it. You know, we all want to win, so we'll bring it.
And I'd have to say we're very competitive, both in the robot aspect and in the awards aspect, because if you look at our Chairman's Award winners and our Engineering Inspiration Awards winners in particular, you know, I would say they would have just as good of a chance to win those awards down in the States or any other jurisdiction, for sure. But thanks for that perspective, Sarah. Philip,
One other thing that I would note, because our team looked at other opportunities, and you may or may not be aware, but down, if you choose to go to a regional down in the U.S., you are eligible to win with your robot, but they've reserved the chairman for teams that are not coming from districts. So you cannot win with your chairman's award down at a region.
Yes, and that was a very recent change. Just, I guess, a few weeks ago they officially announced that. But you're right. If you're a district team and you sign up for your 2 district events, and then you say, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to register for a regional as well because maybe I have a shot at qualifying there, you're right. You're not eligible for a chairman's or an EI or a Rookie All-Star Award at that regional. Those are reserved for non-district teams. So that is a very interesting dynamic where yeah, that door is no longer open for you guys. Thanks for making that point, Sarah. That's a really good one and a pretty important one. Philip, if I could swing that one over to you. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
So, Sean, further to Sarah's point, let's say that 771 goes to Montreal and they win the event. What happens? They qualify for the Worlds, but what happens in Ontario when they get that spot?
So, okay, I'm going to say this one with about 90% confidence because I'm pretty sure about this one, but I always get caught on stuff like this. But I'm pretty sure what happens is they will qualify for the World Championships. However, what happens with that spot is one of the Ontario 27 spots, or the estimated 27 spots, gets used up by that team. And so a points qualifying team out of Ontario now sort of loses the opportunity to qualify through the point system. So they are eligible to qualify by winning a regional, but it ends up using up a spot for the Ontario district. So the rest of the district ends up kind of losing a spot. Does that kind of answer the question, Paul?
Yes. And we do have a couple of questions from some of our guests.
Okay, I wouldn't mind just hearing from Philip on this question quickly, and then we'll switch over to the guest questions. But Philip, same, better, or worse, the move to the district models for teams just like yours who are looking to win awards to try and qualify?
I don't know if it's necessarily same, better, or worse, but I find it's different. So with the district model, for me personally, I find it really benefits the all-around teams, the ones who are good with awards and also then on the field. The interesting thing here is the past few years we've had 5 regionals, and that means there's been 5 Chairman's Award winners and 5 EI Award winners. Well, we're now going to have 9. So that's opening a whole new door to everything. And it also adds a new layer of strategy. So correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but if the team goes to their 3rd event, they are still eligible to win chairmans in those awards, but the points don't count?
Yeah, that's, again, my 90% confidence level on that one, because I always get caught on stuff like this. But for that one, I'm pretty sure, yes, you are still eligible for those judged awards and those automatic qualifiers, but you are just not eligible to earn any points of any kind.
So for...
Yeah, that's what I understand too.
Yeah, so taking that into consideration, it also adds a new layer of strategy into it in terms of awards of, do you go to that 3rd event and hope that that will be that little bit extra? Because if you're especially going to a week 6, you're already going to have quite a few teams who have already qualified who possibly will be at that event taking it so that way they can't qualify for that award again. So
yeah,
I think
that's right.
Different.
That's a huge, I guess you would call that an advantage, because it's a late event, you're right, and a lot of other winners, chairmans and EI and Rookie All-Star winners, would have already been awarded at that point. So maybe you're up against less competition for that. And so the ability to attend those additional events for a shot at those judged awards and those qualifiers, yeah, I think that's a great point, Philip, and probably not one that even, I don't know if I've considered, but I'm glad you shared that one. That's a really important point. Paul, did you want to open it up to a few questions from the audience? Uh-oh. Hello? Did I just cut out? Uh-oh.
I still hear you.
No, Sean, I muted myself, sorry. So Matt Alderston has a couple of questions, so I think I'll unmute him. Okay? There you go, Matt. Matt, are you there? Hello, Matt.
Sorry, guys. I cut out there for a second. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Well, Sean.
My apologies there. I just had to check up on a few things. But Paul, did you want to go ahead and open it up to some questions from the audience?
Well, I was going to ask Matt to ask his questions, but he doesn't seem to be responding. Are you there, Matt?
Well, Paul, in that event, could I trouble you?
I'll ask his questions.
Could ask on his behalf. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So he has a question. Can you advance to the district championship at your 3rd event by winning chairmans, even if you did not advance in your first 2 events based on points? And I think you were just discussing that.
Yeah, and the answer to that one would be yes.
Yes. And then he had another question. What would you, Sean Lim, predict or guess for total points that would be needed for a team to qualify for the Worlds?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I could come up with a definitive number of points. That's a tough one.
Then he further asks, on average, would a team that wins 1 award per district and finishes in the semis at their districts and district championship likely move to the Worlds?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see if I can provide some kind of background data for that one. And if I can't answer it exactly, my hope is I can give you something that's just as good or maybe even better. And so what I have here is a link to Michigan's points from last year. And Michigan's a little bit of a different beast just because they have 411 teams distributed over 22 events. But the point structure is still very, very similar. So I think you can do a direct comparison. And maybe if I didn't do... Just curious if there's other ones Pacific Northwest, this is probably a more comparable size. So let's look at them. 158 teams, 10 events. And so our qualification numbers right now are predicted to be 27. And that number could change. That has to be officially announced by First Headquarters. But Frank released a blog a few weeks ago that said, hey, we're kind of estimating it to be around 27, but that could change. But it's a good working figure for us to work with. And so if we're looking at the points here from PNW, Pacific Northwest as a comparison, Matt, I guess I can kind of answer your question here. That 27th spot needed about 132 points. You know, the quality of competition, competitiveness between differences between Ontario and PNW, you know, might cause that to change, but at least it gives you a little bit of a ballpark here. But yeah, that's kind of looking, at least as a point of information for you to look at. Out of curiosity, 3786 Chargers, who just barely made the cut, we'll say, under this hypothetical 27. Guess if we were to do a quick analysis on them, 3786. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how well they did, and this web page is not doing quite what I wanted it to. We can check out the Blue Alliance, and that number again was 3786. Matt will try and answer this for you, hopefully without taking too much time. Teams 3786, and I wish there was a search, which there is. 3786 from last year. They had a losing record at 37-21. They won one district event here. They won an Engineering Inspiration Award to get there. Let's look at their second event. They won another event, but it looks like they probably won them both as a second pick, and they won a Judges Award. So a combination of being that second pick, it would seem, and winning some awards to get them to the district championship. And then at the district championship, they actually didn't do that well. They were only 3-8-1. Won a Judges Award and didn't even make the finals, but they qualified. Yeah, and they wouldn't. It doesn't look like they would have won qualified using an award automatic qualifier. Even though they won EI here, they would have had to have won an EI at the district championships. So they would have done it just strictly based on points, which yes, we can verify on here. So that gives a little bit of background in terms of how the 27th ranked team in PNW made their way to the World Championships. But it sounds like they won 2 events as a second pick and won 2 awards as well. But you can probably look up a few of these histories and try and backtrack what their path to the World Championships were. But hopefully that'll help you, Matt, answer that question. Paul, any other ones lined up for us?
Yes, Christine has a question. Her question is, if your first or second event is a regional event versus district, will points be calculated the same way as if you attended a district?
At the regional?
Yeah.
No. So you cannot earn points at a regional event. And so if you have a schedule where you're competing at your regional event first, followed by your 2 district events afterwards, that regional event is not going to earn you any points. And in fact, you can't even win Chairman's or EI or Rookie All-Star. About the only way you can qualify out of that regional event would be to win the event. And no, it would not earn you any points.
And we have another one from Matt Alderson. And he says, how many Ontario teams went to the Worlds last year?
That's another good question. I think I do have those numbers broken down.
Was in the 30s, I think, if I recall.
Yes.
I think all of Canada sent 39, if I remember correctly.
And yeah, this is a tough part because projected district points 2016. Let's see. I think I do have one. 32 is a text that I've just gotten from Mark Bredner. That sounds about right. And now our 27 doesn't include Hall of Fame teams, which would be 11-14. So at 27-28, we're losing a few spots overall, but we're not as far off as we would have been under the regional model. And I guess the benefit is that the quality of the teams, whether it's through robot performance or award winners, ends up being a little bit higher. But I can count these up quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. On this spreadsheet, I only count 30. So I would say somewhere between 30 and 32. So it sounds like if our number ends up being 27, we have lost a few spots, but we're still pretty close within that ballpark. And
Matt has a follow-up question. He says, should Ontario not, and I'm putting the emphasis on myself, should Ontario not get more spots based on 2 championships?
I think that's one that's still up for debate from First Headquarters, but part of the reason for that, and I think Matt knows the answer as to why this is the case, but the geographic lines have been drawn in such a way where there are fewer teams vying for spots at the Southern Championship down in Houston versus a greater number of teams vying for the championships in the St. Louis North Championship. And so it's all represented by population. And so because we have a higher population, that ends up being a little bit of the distribution question. Now, Michigan is obviously the biggest one, and so they're going to get the most number of spots. And the interesting thing is that all the areas in FRC are growing. And if you're not necessarily growing the number of spots at the same rate, and we're only dealing with the Northern Championship because that's what we're qualifying for, you may not necessarily get quite as many spots. And the tough part is that it's that the unsustainable nature of the regional model. Every time you introduce more regionals and you're adding those 7 spots, because we have so many places which are still under the regional model, you have to make room for those 7 spots. And for better or for worse, the piece of the pie that's left over for the district models kind of is what it is, and that piece for the district models is all done represented by proportionally by the number of teams that we have. So I wish I had a great answer for you, Matt. I wish I could get us, 40 teams or 50 teams to champs, but to be fair to everyone, this is to do the representation by the number of teams is the most fair way to do it. Paul, is there?
That's all the questions.
That's all we've got. All right, so we're at 8:22. My apologies for running a little bit long, but Sarah, Philip, you guys are certainly not obligated to stick around, but if you are willing and able to, I do have, I think, just maybe another question or two. But Sarah, are you able to stick around with us, or it's Halloween night? Have you got some candy obligations that you need to attend to?
Well, I just had to eat one of the chocolate bars myself because we've turned our lights out. It seems pretty quiet now.
All right, Philip,
So
are you good to stick around with us just for a few more minutes? Okay.
I'm good to stick around.
All right, so Philip, you touched upon this a little bit in terms of optimizing your chances to win awards and try to qualify through one of the various methods. And you mentioned maybe signing up for an additional event maybe later on in the schedule where maybe the competition for those judged awards is a little bit lighter because you've already awarded so many of those awards. Are there any other ways that you guys have sort of looked at the process and said, hey, this is a really interesting way to maybe optimize, or have you guys, in terms of planning out your award strategy, found things or some tips or techniques that you might be willing to share? Sarah, has anything come across, the discussions on your team?
Well, I think just, trying to understand where we could win awards and where we couldn't has kept us kind of jumping, trying to figure out strategies. So one of the things it looks like we misunderstood was that, if you signed up for those later districts, we thought that your first one could count towards awards. So that was one thought we had. We just tend to choose our regionals, and I think you're going to ask this later, but we choose our regionals strategically, I guess. And so that's what we've been focused on. Also because there is that extra play. We went to 3 competitions, 3 regionals and world champs one year, which ended up being 4 competitions, and we found that really a lot in terms of both money and time out of school and travel, and even the robot was pretty beat up by the time we got there. So 4 plays seems like maybe the max we would want to do, and if we're doing 2 districts and then you qualify for district champs and then world champs, that's 4 plays. So I don't know that we would go for another one.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is going to be an interesting one for teams which are looking to get to the World Championships. Just to get to the World Championships, you're right, that's 4 plays that are essentially quote unquote mandatory in order to take that qualification route. It's a little different if you
adjust the money aspect of that, which is awesome, thank you very much, but there's still, you know, the time out of school and time away from family and you know, travel costs that might play into things too.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the sustainability piece as well, where I think they might be setting things up where, you know, not everyone is going to go to the World Championships, which I think we already know, but it might be nice for one day the Ontario District Championships to become, you know, almost as big of a show as the World Championships, and I think that's something that we would be moving towards. And if we do our jobs right again, you know, hopefully we'll be able to make that happen, such that if you were to do your 2 district events and qualify for Ontario District Championships, and you got to experience a really big show there, if your team that only has the resources to do 3 events, hopefully that would be seen as a really darn successful season. I'm not sure if we'll hit that in our first season. It's still going to be a big show. It won't be quite World Championship level show, but it's not to say that maybe one day we would be able to achieve that. So it's an interesting one. Philip, how about...
Yeah, that's cool. I agree with that, and I think you know, it's neat to be back at Hershey Center for that feel.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that we are glad to be back there. And for those who've never had the opportunity to compete there, it is a special place as far as an Ontario District Provincial Champs is concerned. It's going to be a pretty darn big show. Philip, how about for you? Other than signing up for that additional event at the tail end of the competition season, has anything else come up in terms of your team's process, trying to figure out, you know, how to best set yourselves up, maybe to win awards and qualify to the next level?
So for 1305, we do a lot of strategizing in terms of awards, trying to figure out who our biggest competition is. We're always looking at that and trying to get in there, really trying to strategize how we can advance and what sets us apart. With us hosting the North Bay Regional, we knew we were going to that one, so our discussion was then which was our next one. We ended up deciding to go to Durham because we knew we wanted an early one, being as we're going to be competing at a week 6. We did bring up the conversation of should we go to another one. At this point, the conversation is more so, for the past few years, 1305 has gone to 3 regionals and the championship since 2013, I believe. So it has been quite a lot, but when we looked at the numbers and everything, we're still going to the same number of events. So for us, at this point, we're only going to be doing the 2 and then the other one. But we are definitely looking at which events to go to, and then we also look at, once we're registered, we start to actually do a little bit of research on to who our different competition is and looking at what they do, and it gives us a bit of an insight. And we always love, one of the things I always love at competition is we sit down with the other teams and we'll do our chairman's practicing together. So it really allows all the teams to grow, because no 2 teams are the exact same, but we can all learn something different from each other, whether it's a cool idea of a way to recognize a sponsor or a different way to promote an idea, or even something as simple as a handshake can really benefit you in terms of chairmans and all the other awards.
Absolutely, and even speaking from experience with my previous teams, the ability to reach out to other chairman's teams just for advice and feedback, and their willingness to watch your presentations and to give you good, meaningful, constructive feedback has been absolutely amazing, which really kind of points out the whole co-opetition aspect of what we do in FRC, where we could even be competing against each other for the same award at a competition, but at the same time, to be able to share and draw upon resources to really help each of us increase our chances. It's pretty amazing, but that's awesome.
Sean, we have a question from Peter Carl from 4343. His question is, if you do attend the third event, do your points push other teams out of point awarding positions?
So if you attend a third event, a third district event, yes, you will not earn any points at that event. And so you can't really push another team out of those spots at that point. You pretty much only have the points that you have from your first two events, and I would say you're only at risk of other teams who have yet to play their second event be in a position to maybe push you out. But that third event doesn't count for points, and so you can't really move up or down. Well, you can't really move up in the rankings, I would say.
I think part of what he wants to know is if you're in a position to earn points at the end, what happens to those points? You obviously don't get them, but does the team below you get them?
Oh, yes. And so the team, let's say any teams around you who are only playing in their first or second district event will still earn points. And so I guess technically at an event, you could try and push other teams out by doing really well at the event and kind of shifting everyone down below you to earn just slightly less points. So from that aspect, because you're just kind of this placeholder who's not earning points, you could kind of shift the rankings around and push everyone down by one spot. Yeah, I guess technically, that could make a difference, because if I go to, I guess we'll go to the PNW listing of points here very quickly. The difference right at the limit at 27, the difference between qualifying and not qualifying for World Championships was really only a difference of 2 points. And so, yeah, if you can affect the other teams by a difference of 2 points, you could theoretically bump them out of a spot to the World Championships. So, yeah, and if you're in that 27th spot and someone is in a position to be able to overtake you, you probably still want to be doing really well at that additional event to maybe minimize the points of anyone who's trying to catch you. So that's an interesting thought. And so I guess the short answer to that one is yes. At your third event, you can affect everyone else's points a little bit by doing well and trying to push everyone down a little bit.
So I guess Peter's follow-up is, if we win the event, all other teams will be reduced in points. I'm not so sure they get reduced in points, but let's say Peter's team wins and they get those 30 points for winning. They don't get those points, but
I guess
Alliance members get the 30 points.
Your
right?
2 Alliance members would still get the 30 points. I guess the best way to say it is one less team that's not you would have the opportunity to earn those 30 points. I know that sounds complicated, but that's probably the most concise way that I can say it.
And
we have a
perhaps
question.
the alliance ranking will be the difference, right? Because they would lose a point there too.
100%, Sarah. Yeah, everyone would be pushed down by 1 ranking point and also by 1 alliance selection point, which is really only 1 point. But yeah, you're right. All those cascade, and I shouldn't say only 1 point, because again, the difference here between qualifying and not qualifying was only 2 points. So you can make a difference. So your incentive there is, if someone's chasing you, if you're in one of these last few spots, your incentive to play in that third event is not to earn points for yourself, but to do well enough that maybe you are pushing someone else down a little bit lower.
So we have a question from a student from, I believe it's from Woodbridge College, Roheen Mansouri. He says, what is the actual difference between a regional event and a district event? How are the points different? Well, I guess the point is there are no points in a regional event. Yeah,
it's all kind of an old history, because we could get into the regional model, but it doesn't really apply. But Roheen, basically there's no points whatsoever. If you won the event as part of that winning alliance of 3 robots, or possibly 4 if there's a backup, you used to automatically qualify to the World Championships. So that's one way to qualify. If you won a chairman's award, you would automatically qualify. Same thing with Engineering Inspiration and Rookie All-Star, you would automatically qualify for the World Championships along with your robots. The tough part with the regional model is that if you were a finalist, so you would have no chance of going to the World Championships. So, you know, if you were a perennial finalist, like you had a really good robot, but just couldn't, you know, cross the threshold to actually winning, you would basically never, ever, ever get a chance to go to the World Championships. And that was tough. Here under the district model, you get a lot of points for being a finalist. You get enough points, basically, to be able to qualify. I think if you're a finalist, you know, at both of your events, you're probably going to earn enough points to be close to the top of the rankings or high enough to be able to qualify, particularly if you're an alliance captain or first pick. So that's probably one of the bigger differences between those two events, or the two formats. All right.
We have one more, Sean.
All right, last one. We're 5 minutes over our overtime segment, but we'll take it.
Alan Toms, a rookie mentor from Northview Heights, he wants to know the Rookie All-Star Award, one rookie team awarded at each district event, is that right? And what is it judged on?
Yes, okay. So Sarah, Phillip, if you guys don't mind, I've heard many descriptions of the Rookie All-Star Award, but I've heard that they're similar to Chairman's Award or even Engineering Inspiration, but this is a perfect opportunity. Rookie team doesn't know what necessarily the details of the Rookie All-Star Award are. Could you maybe share your insights? What is the award, and how do you go about winning it? We'll swing this over to you, Phillip. Phillip, can you just tell us about the Rookie All-Star Award, what it is? And if you were to do it all over again, if you're a rookie team, maybe a few things on what you might try and do to give yourself the best shot at it.
So to me, the Rookie All-Star Award is really what the judges find to be the best exemplary rookie there at the event. So they're looking often at the ones, I think often the reason we call it first year chairmans in EI is because they're often looking at who are going to be those big competitors. And I know from 1305's perspective, we really look at those ones and go and say, there's our future competition, give it 1-2 years, and they could be winning it, and it's not a shock. For example, 1305 in our second year, we won 2 Engineering Inspiration Awards. So it's extremely possible to win those awards once you get in your second year. They really look at pretty much everything you're doing. If you think of your entire team as, the one thing with getting a Rookie All-Star Award is it's really trying to get the good foundation. If you think of it like a house and you're continually trying to build up, you really want to have that good foundation year to start. One thing I really recommend is to just try and get the word out into your community. Some of the easiest things to do are get out into your school, the different areas, try and talk to your local politicians depending on how big of an area you're in, especially if you're in that small space, and look for different sponsors. And when you're also talking with sponsors, look to see if there's ways that you can also incorporate different things with them. For example, can you come and do different events that there? You might not have a Lego robot now, but one of the things that we often do is bring our Lego out. So we actually built these little Lego tables that fit perfectly to the height of about a 2-year-old, and the kids and the parents, they just love it. So really doing everything that you can and getting that right foundation so that way you can get that Rookie All-Star Award and in the future continue to work up towards being that big powerhouse team that you never thought you could have been in your first year.
Sarah, what about your thoughts on the Rookie All-Star Award? Specifically, maybe like if you were to do it all over again, well, what might be some of the things you might try and do?
I think as a rookie team, you have to think of what you can accomplish because everybody comes with a different story. And so there's the rookie highest seed if you're, you know, a mechanically or technically strong team. So you can focus on the robot and try and win that award for just playing well with your robot. And then there's Rookie Inspiration Award, which is if maybe, you know, the robot you're doing well, but your focus is more on community outreach and getting your team started and getting your community involved. So there's those kind of two areas that can be celebrated. But the Rookie All-Star is the team that's doing it all. right? If they're have a strong robot and they're also doing the community portion of it and building a team that looks to be sustainable. They've got some sponsors behind them, and you know, it just looks like a team on fire. So that's, and you can generally, I agree with Patrick, that you can generally spot those teams. Like they're the ones who arrive that have, you know, read the manual, know what's going on, they've reached out for, you know, support, and they're just doing it all.
Awesome. No, thanks very much for both of your insight on the Rookie All-Star Award. And thank you very much for your time tonight on a Halloween evening with a lot of kids and candy running around. We appreciate your time and your expertise on this one. I certainly learned a lot from both of you as well on the award process and the different things that you guys are doing to be able to give yourselves the best shot at those awards. But thanks everyone else for tuning in this evening, and hopefully you'll be able to join us next week on our webinar, which will be on fundraising and the payment process and invoices, understanding your invoices because they will look a little bit different, and what to expect, what the deadlines are, and the whole financial piece behind FRC. So thanks again. Have yourselves a great night. Sarah, Philip, thanks again as well for your time one last time, and have yourselves a great evening, everyone. Enjoy the remainder of your Halloween. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Philip and Sean. Thanks.